score 3 points. That's why the offense by far needs to be blamed way more than the defense. Although everybody's ripping the defense because the Niners ran all over them and pushed them around. Yeah, because the Niners had the ball for the entire game because our offense was a joke, a worthless embarrassment of a joke. When it's players, even when it's position groups, sure, give them the accountability. When it is almost every single person in the entire locker room, whose job is it to be in charge of everybody? Who's accountable for the whole thing? That'd be the coach, or the coaches. Therefore, I know these are tough takes, okay? Like, my take as a Minnesotan here is tough. So many Minnesotans are going to hate everything I've said about this. Because, A, everybody in here in Minnesota is just in love with Mike Zimmer, and oh, he's such a great head coach, and Norv Turner, Zimmer and Turner, we've got such a great coaching staff. Zimmer and Turner combined as a tandem, as a duo, as a coaching duo, they've got a 7-10 record. Why the hell should anybody be impressed or excited about that? Like, seriously, what have they done as coaches? Nothing. Constantly making dumb calls. Constantly. Both sides of the ball. But so a lot of people here in Minnesota are going to hate that I'm already on the coaches' butts. But I was on the coaches' butts this last year. I said, I like Zimmer a lot as a person. I really dig him as a guy. And as far as like identity, personality, type of coaching, I very much like him. But I saw so many spots all throughout the season last year. Defensively included, which he's in charge of, and offensively, which is Norv Turner's deal. Basically, Mike Zimmer is only the head defensive coach, and Norv Turner is the head offensive coach. And in the event that a tiebreaker is needed, Zimmer has the ultimate power. But we've kind of got two head coaches, and neither one of them are displaying any kind of strategy, game planning, intelligence whatsoever. It's just baffling, whether it be the choice of who's playing, like Sendejo that we mentioned earlier, whether it be the actual play calling. We're having a hard time against the run. Let's completely eliminate the second tier of our defense and just run really wide blitzes, so that as long as there's a hole to be found in the line, then there's nobody to stop him and he can run all over us. Let's have our entire front seven not shed a block the entire game. Don't pursue the ball. Minnesota Vikings defense front seven. Pursue the guy whose blocking assignment is you, and then stand there and just let him block you. Have a conversation, check up on the wife and kids, see how everything's going. There wasn't one Vikings defender that shedded a block all freaking game. It was pathetic. But again, when it's every player playing like crap, every position, every unit, every package. You said unit and package. Yeah, units and packages. But when it's everybody, it's on the coaches. That's their job. That's what they're responsible for. They're responsible for making sure everyone is prepared. There was plenty of we don't look prepared out there. They are responsible for everybody being put into places where they can succeed, where they have a chance to be successful. None of that going on. They're responsible for sitting back and looking at what the other team is doing and going, okay, this is what they're doing that's giving us problems. This is what they're doing that I think we could take advantage of and exploit. So let's make some adjustments here. We're going to go with these types of plays maybe a little bit and look to do this other stuff. No adjustments. What the hell? And I repeat, what the hell do Norv and Zims do at halftime? What do they do? They're not making adjustments at all. They're not making adjustments. So what the hell are they doing? Do they just go in there and give a 2-minute, good first half. I think we can try harder and, let's go do our best in the second half. All right. And then he goes and, sits in his office and like checks on his fantasy football rosters or whatever for the next 15 minutes. Look at some photos. Look at some film. Make some adjustments. Figure some stuff out. Try some different things. It's, oh my God. So again, and okay, last gripe, and then we're going to get off the Vikings. I'll just have to get quick to recaps, picks. Whole show is going to be freaking football tonight. AP said, felt rusty. Well, gee, if only there was a predetermined, portion of the season before the regular games start that actually count, that were designated and designed, to play people just a little bit so that they can get the rust off of them. Wouldn't that be a great idea? Don't give me the shame on anybody for the rust AP. Unacceptable. Get that garbage out of here. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, Vikings fan got his head crushed in and the crap beat out of him by a group of 49er people. Post game videos all over the internet and TV. Just check it out if you want to. It's a little disturbing. Truth be told, the guy, the Viking fan taking the beating, deserved a major ass whooping. Excuse me. But not to the extent that you're getting kicked in the head by a group of people who have already beaten you up and now you're on the ground helpless. Comes a little common sense, whether you're drunk or not, where it's like, oh, yeah, this is a human being, and we're about 3 seconds away from accidentally ending his life because we're just as worthless and stupid as this guy is. So everybody in that lousy, stupid, worthless, don't feel sorry for any of them. One guy got what he deserves, and hopefully the rest will now too. Was there anything else from the Vikings debacle? Well, I guess if there was, we'll have to get to it next time. So that's geez, talking over an hour on your Vikings. I don't know. Let me know what you think, please. If you're a Vikings fan, please, I'm begging you, tweet me your thoughts on the current state of the Minnesota Vikings at BDST Show on Twitter. Again, that's at BDST Show is my Twitter handle. And also, if Facebook's more your thing, you can find Scotty-Ball on Facebook. Like me, friend me, and message me that way. Oops, and also, I almost forgot the final reason, last Vikings thing, and then we'll move on. The other Vikings take, aside from the unjustified coaching love and faith here in Minnesota, that should rile up all my fellow Minnesotans and should be heavily disagreed with, which I'm very looking forward to, because I'm right and everyone who disagrees with me is wrong. But coach is terrible. People aren't going to like that because people love the coaches here in Minnesota right now. Unjustified, inexplicably. And then also my take that the offensive line played better than Teddy Bridgewater did. That's not going to go over here in Minnesota, even though it is the truth. As someone who understands in immeasurable detail the inner workings and sciences of play calling, pass protections, read progressions, everything, okay? I'm a freaking elite football mind. I'm an expert. You need to trust me that I know what I'm talking about on this stuff. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right in all my predictions. That's not even close to what I'm saying, but my analysis is spot on and you can trust it, okay? So when I say that Teddy Bridgewater played worse than the offensive line, he did, okay? That's just a fact. And people aren't going to like that because in Minnesota, everyone hates our offensive line, thinks nothing of it, thinks they suck, and everybody is just in love, head over heels with Teddy Bridgewater, the savior who can do no wrong. But he's got a real long way to go, and he played even worse in the O-line. So that's it for my Vikings takes. Everything else, if I'm talking really fast, it's because I have to. I wanted the show to be shorter, and then I go and ramble for over an hour about just the Vikings when I've got a million things to talk about. So let's give you just a real quick recap league-wide of what happened in Week 1, and then let's get to our Week 2 picks and get on to other stuff. All right, so in Week 1, we had, on the Thursday night opening game of the season, we had the New England Patriots, a 3.5-point favorite. They beat the Steelers and the spread 28-21. The Buffalo Bills, a 2.5-point underdog at home, beat the Indianapolis Colts 27-14. Colts T.Y. Hilton, wide receiver, out 3 to 6 weeks apparently. That's a huge blow to them and an even huger blow to the majority of my fantasy football teams, as he was he's my number one receiver on like 2 or 3 of my 4 fantasy football teams, who all won this last week, by the way, with the exception of my 4th. I have 4 fantasy football teams. 3 of them got wins. The only one who didn't win scored the second most points in the entire league. Just had the bad fortune of playing the league high points in that one. But I know a lot of you are concerned and hoping for my success in fantasy football this year. So just wanted to fill you in on that quick. But yeah, T.Y. Hilton, the big story from that game, other than the Colts getting him shellacked by the Bills, he's out 3 to 6 weeks. Green Bay Packers hold off the Chicago Bears 31-23 in Soldier Field. Bears actually played quite a bit better than I expected them to. They were honestly the second best looking team in the NFC North, which is scary. Packers were the best looking team because they're the only one that got a win. And the Bears were a 5.5 point underdog. Packers covered the spread. Cleveland Browns lost to the New York Jets 31-10. Jets were a 3.5 point favorite. They killed them. Main story in that game was that starting quarterback Josh McCown for the Cleveland Browns went down very early with an injury. Johnny Manziel had to come in and be the starting quarterback for the rest of the game. He was literally the only other quarterback they had on the team suited up. So if he would have went down, they'd have been really up creek without a paddle. But he is going to be starting quarterback next week as well and for the foreseeable future. So if you're looking for a team to pick against on a weekly basis, the Browns are a good option. We also had the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Houston Texans 27-20 in Houston. Houston was the favorite in that one. I'm not sure why. Maybe just because they were the home team. But nobody with any kind of football knowledge would think going into week 1 that the Texans were a better team than the Chiefs. Main story from that game would be that Houston Texans starting quarterback Brian Hoyer, after one game, has already looks to have lost his starting job, and Ryan Mallett looks to be their starting quarterback here in week 2 most likely and going forward. That's another one that it's like, what kind of moron, idiot coach made that decision in the first place? Just about anybody with half a brain who watches the occasional football games could have told you with 100% accuracy 10 out of 10 times that Ryan Mallett gives you a better chance to win and is a better football player and a better quarterback than Brian Hoyer is. Like, seriously, it shouldn't take a week of getting your butt kicked by the Chiefs to figure that out. Again, the final score there was 27-20, although the Chiefs were up 27 to single digits for the vast majority of that game. Seattle Seahawks lose in overtime at the St. Louis Rams 34-31. That was a great watch. Seattle blew it. The big story on that game was that the final play was a 4th and 1.5, 4th and 2, where they decided to hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch to kind of, and I think they did it on purpose. I really do. I'm with Mama Lynch. Mama Lynch tweeted after this that the only reason they called that there was to make up for the Super Bowl call, and that it shouldn't have been called there. The offensive line wasn't blocking for crap all game, which they weren't, and it was 4th and 2, not 2nd and goal or 3rd and goal, where you've got timeouts and more plays, as it was in the Super Bowl. She referenced that Darrell Bevell is the worst offensive coordinator, play call. He's the worst play caller of all time in the history of sports and should have been fired in the offseason. And she's 100% right. Mama Lynch is a freaking football genius, okay? Granted, the one problem I have with it is, parents, significant others really shouldn't be jumping on Twitter to fight battles for their professional family members. No good generally comes from it, regardless of how spot on correct you are. And her final comment was that the Seahawks seemingly love Darrell Bevell more than they love winning. Man, just fatal shot after fatal shot from Mama Lynch. Mama Beast Mode, my new favorite NFL mother. So ultimately, Mama Lynch, while it's 99.9% not a good idea to tweet and post on Facebook, things of that nature, you're way too damn smart to keep your opinion to yourself. So you just keep preaching the good word. All right, back to our recap. We had the Miami Dolphins victorious 17-10 at Washington Redskins. That was an ugly game. Kirk Cousins played okay there, starting at quarterback for the Washington Redskins. Alfred Morris ran all over the Miami Dolphins defense.